gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
And welcome back to the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. No Sparky this week, but KG is back with us after being absent for the Raw preview. My friend, how are you? How are you feeling?
Very, very nostalgic right now, man. I got my tribal turban on. I've got my bloodline vest cracking today for the show. And there's some big moves on the horizon, man. I'm happy to be back. Happy New Year to everybody. Nonetheless, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get into it, Chris.
Absolutely. And apropos, as tonight, Solo Sikoa supposed to return to SmackDown after being absent last week. Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga still running wild, destroying everybody in sight. So we'll see what happens with the Bloodline tonight. But before we get into that, let's talk about what happened on Monday, because we got a huge, huge debut in Penta, somebody that we were very excited to see. I wish Sparky was here, because I really wanted to get a perspective of somebody who had no idea who Penta was coming into this. Nothing against Sparky, but he didn't know a lot about Penta or his family bloodline. KG, me and you have been talking about Penta and his brother Ray for a very, very long time on this show. Very, very nice to see him finally get the limelight and finally come out for his debut with the WWE against Chad Gable in a match that was rather long, but in my opinion was pretty damn good and showed a lot of really cool sides of Penta and his moveset. What did you think?
Well, it's about damn time that somebody like Penta has reached the main stage. Like Michael Cole said, welcome to the big time, the big leagues. We've seen Penta in Lucha Underground, MLW, various promotions across the world, set the ring on fire. Now, the match with Gable, let me just get right to it. Props to Chad Gable, bro. That man cannot have a bad match.
There's never one.
You can put him in the ring with a garbage bag, and he's going to shine, bro. He's going to make that garbage bag look more over than some of these assholes online that say, oh, the match was boring or he messed up on a springboard leg drop. Okay, first of all, this man, as you've seen him come out and take in what the WWE experience really is with this product, you could see it through his makeup, through his mask, through his contacts. He was enjoying that shit. He was like, damn. Now, a bittersweet moment that I thought about was like his brother is either there or watching, like I should be there too, but in due time. In due time, we'll get Ray Phoenix in WWE, and that's going to smash everything conceptually about tag team wrestling and how they've been presented as luchadors in WWE of late. They haven't had the best representation other than Rey Mysterio. We know LWO came and went, El Legado Fantasma. You know, now we've got Andrade back over there. And honestly, I want to see the Andrade and the leader of El Legado Fantasma. What's his name again?
Santos Escobar.
Yes. Those two could either make a great rivalry or alliance. That's just money on the table. But nonetheless, back to the match. Chad Gable had some spots where I believe there's a hard style of wrestling in WWE where you are really looking at that main cam. Your face, the body positioning is really meant for that hard camera to look at. And I seen some complaints online. Well, oh, he did a headlock with the wrong arm and whatnot. Okay, most people, even avid wrestling fans like myself, I wouldn't have known that. So whatever. Okay, the flow of the match, they say, ran a little long. Well, honestly, they can kind of do whatever the hell they want at this aspect. Maybe it cut time. Maybe it didn't. Raw has an allowance of up to 3 hours, and we got a shorter show. The shortest show I think we've seen in a while, but it was well put together. Throughout the match, we've seen moves that we've seen before, but didn't get the reaction that they've gotten before. That Canadian Destroyer, or Mexican Destroyer, whatever you want to call it, that Chad Gable took and sold, hell, got a pop like that was the first time that shit ever happened on WWE TV. So I was like, oh, shit. Now, Penta was selling the shit out of his leg. It was reports that, oh, he got injured, and then, man, shut the fuck up. Y'all don't know, like Triple H said, he's going to do as much as he can to blur the lines of what is real and what is a work or a shoot. so to speak, by using those words exactly, now more so than ever, because we're in a time where everything's so over and micro analyzed because of the social analytics, because of the social interest, because of the international and global appeal that they have due to Netflix, other internet entities, and things like that and shit. It showed focus on how to take someone from somewhere else and get them over on night one. Night one. Then he cut a promo. Oh, hold on. First of all, a lot of people didn't even know this motherfucker could talk. Okay, nonetheless, in Spanish and in English. Where was this in AEW?
Well, okay.
Where, because I didn't even know the man could speak English. They never gave him a fucking mic. They never gave him a chance. But at the same time, this dude got so over in a predominantly Latin American market. It makes you think, is this wave going to continue to ride in the areas where it's not so much of a predominantly Latin market and like San Jose? That was a perfect debut. That was a perfect debut. Now to keep this going, to book him right with the great opponents that he's going to have choices from to work with in WWE, that's not going to be an issue. What are we going to write for him? What's going to be the arc? Is he going to team with the Mysterios? Is he going to go head up? I say Mysterios, yes, plural. He could team with either Dom or Ray, depending on how the storyline's written. Hell, Dom and Penta have a match coming up on Cinco de Mayo in Mexico in WWE.
Well, so we don't know that yet. That was just a rumor that people are throwing around that. Now I would love to see that.
Now look, if it's solid,
I would love to see that.
That right there in itself is going to do gangbuster numbers. Come a Mysterio, a third generation Mysterio who's a heel, embracing his Guerrero aspects, which is lineage and legacy all scattered throughout that. You have Penta, who's basically a new age La Parka to some people, because the similarities of how they look just remind them of La Parka. And La Parka is a legend, nonetheless. The original chairman of wrestling. Well, I think that was probably Ollie Anderson, but you know what? He made the chair his thing, you know?
Yeah.
Now, for the people that didn't understand what they were looking at, all right, Chad Gable adapted his mainstream Olympic style, WWE style, basically his way of how his character comes off in the ring to me, what I see, make Penta look as comfortable as possible, which not every performer can do. They worked a style that really isn't seen on WWE as much as you would see in other territories, especially like in the southern hemisphere of the world and whatnot. So I was very, very satisfied with the debut, the promo. I thought it was great. I thought it was a way to show like how you showcase a new person that the audience may not know and reintroduce that same person to the people that might be aware of him in just a higher profile or fashion. The difference from him coming out on AEW versus Monday Night Raw's WWE on Netflix, leagues apart in separation and production, obviously. But damn it, that shit was good to watch.
Oh, it was so much fun. And honestly, this is where my argument is when it comes to the timeline of this match. It was Chad Gable was chosen not just because of his lineage against luchadors and all the stuff he's had to deal with in the past with people with masks and all that stuff. I think it was because of Chad Gable being chosen that this match went this long. There's not a lot of people that can go that long in a wrestling match outside of Chad Gable. And I think that was taken into consideration. That's why I think all of this rumor about there being a problem with the length of the match and his promo at the end and a match being cut or something on that shit, I think that's all bullshit. I don't think that's a thing. If wrestling has these moments all the time where match times get cut, this is a normality thing. Now, granted, yes, wrestlers get mad about it. I'm sure. I'm not saying that they don't.
Yeah, I get upset about my TV time. Shit.
Exactly.
It's few and far in between.
But realistically speaking, Raw is now on a timeline that it's fluid. It doesn't matter. Like, if they wanted to throw your match in there, your match would have been in there. We have a whole possible of a 3-hour show. That show was not 3 hours. So
Facts.
your match could have been thrown in there right afterwards, regardless. So that's
Facts.
why I don't believe that that is a real thing. I think that's media trying to blow it up and destroy what was a very good debut for Penta. I'm glad they're letting him keep the Penta driver. I was very curious if they were going to. And honestly, I didn't even think about this, but the entire time of Kevin Owens using this package pile driver, we should have known that they were going to be Penta at some point because Penta's, obviously,
100%. 100%. I get
and I
where you're
should have
going with
saw it.
that.
But regardless, it was a fantastic debut for Penta, something that I was very, very excited about. That's why I wish Sparky was here, because Sparky had no past knowledge of who Penta was, and I love to hear other people's experiences with these
Yes.
wrestlers
I,
for the
I
first
love seeing
time.
the reaction, the first time reactions
Yes,
of people who are
and if
entered. They're like, who is that? Like
yes, and if you're a
Ricochet
fan of
debut.
just fun luchador-esque wrestling, Penta is your guy.
Yeah.
Penta is going to be so exciting to watch. First and foremost, I think your Dominic Mysterio match is going to happen, because I would love to see that and allow Dom to finally grow a little bit in the luchador aspect. Plus, I do believe that the branch off of the Judgment Day is going to happen sometime rather, close than not at all. And personally, I would love to see Dom have that match be his kind of coming out party of, I'm going solo. If I
Yeah.
can beat the luchadors of now, I can go beat any luchador right now, and I'm going to go do that by myself. I think that'd be a really cool thing. But
Well, there was I don't mean to interrupt, but there was a
no, you're
hinted
good.
rumor with Penta's debut being a tag team situation with Rey Mysterio versus the New Day. Now, how much of that is solid? You've got Wrestle Report, you got Meltzer, and everybody's got conflicting stories. So take it with a grain of salt for yourself. But I
I
imagine
think
how
that
that would have
might.
went.
I think that could definitely be the match
It
for
could
this
still
Monday.
it could still happen. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It could still happen. Maybe not for a pay-per-view as the original
No.
intention or debut was to be for, but I still think it make great storyline material for the weekly shows.
Right.
And eventually will lead to a Rey Mysterio retirement match, whether it's via his son or one of these guys that's coming in here after Penta, which I do believe we will see Rey Fenix.
Eventually.
Yes, eventually, and that I think that would be the person to have a series of classics with. I don't want to see Rey exposed by Penta's brutality if they feud them against each other. I believe there was a MLW match a while back, or a New Japan match where it was a bloody match, and for a luchador to get his mask ripped open and all this, it's one of those images that I have of Penta that'll never go away in my mind of like, now that's what the fuck I'm talking about. And if WWE can give us that, but how they put it together with that scope of theatrics and aura, oh man, trust me, this Penta merch is gonna move. The mask is gonna move.
We could potentially
the glove
see
is gonna
best.
move.
Yes.
That shit is hard. Like I'm like, bro, he's got everything you want for a WWE superstar to come in and inject some livelihood into your roster. So I'm all with the Penta program, man. You know what I'm saying, man?
We're going to see a lot more of him. I think that match against the New Day would be really fun to see. And honestly, I could definitely see how you could actually pull that in, especially with the rivalry right now. It seems that is growing between the New Day and Rey Mysterio as a whole. But other things that happened on Monday night that we should probably get to before we get to our next topic. Damian Priest finally ending this feud with Finn Balor in a street fight, or at least what we understand. In a match that probably should have happened a long time ago. As much as I love both of these men, I think I've seen it around the internet that the consensus is about the same. This feud has gotten so dull that no one really cares about it anymore, and it's really starting to make Finn and Damian look bad, because all you're doing is making them fight each other, and they should be fighting other people. And this feud is long overdue. It should be done now. I don't know if it is, knowing the way that most of these things go, but I think overall we are seeing, hopefully, the end of the Damian Priest Finn Balor era and what will be the start of something new for both of these guys.
I feel you, bro. 100%. I feel you. And I tried not to laugh when you said well, everyone's saying this feud's over, and I'm like, is it really? Is it really though? Because
it should be. God damn it! This is the
it's
longest feud. This is longer than CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at this point, and
oh
that was long. And that only reason
well,
that one was long is because of injury problems. So it really doesn't even matter at that point.
I look at it like this, okay? There's something going on here with the shuffling of Judgment Day. There's rumors of Malachi Black either retiring or returning to WWE. You've got the Wyatt Six that's been moved to SmackDown. The trade or whatever policy that they've got going on right now with this open window
transfer portal, as they're calling
transfer portal, portals everywhere and stuff, and people hopping through portals like we're in the fucking Doctor Strange universe. But any one of those portals could lead to a great storyline, so I'm all with that. Hopefully after this technically pause, what they say, blow off match, this end of this feud, you know what I'm saying, I think that it would be a good point now to disperse into other storylines or give them a break off of TV so much with this one, because now we need to show the Judgment Day dissolve. We need to see that whole aspect dissolve of what's going on. And
personally, I say separate the two entirely. Move Damian to SmackDown. Let Damian go against somebody else. We need to just separate the entire idea, especially if you want to give Finn Balor a singles run.
Yeah.
Because, and I mean, it doesn't mean that Judgment Day themselves can't be moved to SmackDown, because it could be entirely possible that the entire group gets moved and then that's where the split happens.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, I just think you need to separate these two. It is starting to get bad watching.
Little stale, man.
It is.
It's not a fresh crouton in the salad of like, this is delicious and I want more. No, this is like, hey, man,
this should have been ended about 2 or 3 PLEs ago. Let's be honest.
They could have ended it with the Rhea Ripley defeating Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Everybody, Terror Twins. Hey, you got yours. I got mine. Bam, I see you down the road. And there you go.
Move on.
Yeah.
And I get it. And that's why I kind of feel like
great match, though.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was so much fun.
This match should, like you said, this match should have happened 2 or 3 PLEs ago. Yes. But we got what we got. It was great TV. The
leg drop through the drops through the table and stuff like that.
The broken arrow through the table. Yep. Honestly, maybe it was a part of the whole package for the Raw debut, but it was a lot going on. Some things got cut. Some things we'll never know about. Some things that'll come out later.
I think that match could have been better suited as probably one of those mid-card matches for Raw's debut. I think if they would have done that instead of maybe, and I hate saying this, but the Rock promo. I don't mean to get into it, but it didn't necessarily need to happen. Let's be honest. Him kissing Cody's ass on the front line.
Look.
Also didn't make sense. Let's not get into it.
Let's talk about NXT. I was going to say, did you see the F-bombs he dropped on NXT?
He did multiple, and he had a couple. He did.
He didn't even shave, bro. He just showed up.
He had some of his tequila with his daughter in the back. Let's be honest. She was a little pink face too.
He showed up.
Because Nia was there too. The entire family was there.
Come on, man. It
was a reunion. I'm actually surprised we didn't get some sort of little nod to, because I guess you kind of did with the Ethan Page promo. That hey, I'm the boss, but she's the boss. Kind of a thing. That's still my daughter, so you need to fucking shape up or I'm gonna whoop your ass, kind of a thing.
I look at it like
which
this,
I really hope we're actually gonna get, because Ethan Page has been asking for that match for months.
Now, Ethan Page is another example of how to present someone properly. This man has had all these tools, and I'm not gonna just slingshot back to but where was this type of booking and writing in AEW when he was there? Oh, I know where. It doesn't fucking exist. So until it does, you're going to see this fodder system of people that are being chewed up, spinning their own wheels, shit that could work out a lot better. Now, example, think about this. If a MJF or Swerve Strickland, let's say he would come back to WWE for the right situation, right price. This motherfucker's a monster right now. He's fucking dope as shit, on fire, great matches.
He's
MJF.
even making Ricochet look good.
Come on, man. He giving
really
Ricochet
is.
the rub when the rub was supposed
You
to be
know
given
what
to
though?
Ricochet.
Ricochet's attack of Swerve the other week with the scissors.
The
I'm not gonna
American,
lie,
the American
AEW
Psycho
is cooking
Square
with a little
shit.
bit.
The American Psycho Square shit with Ricochet is kind of working out, but it's not
I'm
rubbing
just
off on
saying.
me. I'm not sold yet, but I am invested. But I'm not
They're
sold.
building.
Yes,
They're
yes.
building. We're
It's
getting what
about
we
fucking
asked for.
time. Yes, because I was begging for this shit.
We
I was
really
so
were.
fucking mad. It's like, Trevor, don't you fucking let me down. You're making light skinned motherfuckers look bad right now, bro. But nonetheless,
now Moxley versus Powerhouse Hobbs, we have to talk about later.
Well, we'll get into that now. Example,
different video.
Yeah, even if they came like if Hangman Page left and was presented, this is the type of draw and build that WWE has the ability to wrap around and present and deliver to you as a product via these personalities, these athletes, and it's fucking dope to finally see a smooth, non-blocked, non-Vince McMahon mangled flow of creative. This continuity makes so much fucking sense because we're not taking someone from NXT, throwing them on the main roster with a whole new gimmick and killing everything that we fucking like about them. Everything now is concurrent. It's aware. If somebody goes off and they come back repackaged, we have vignettes that talk about where they were, what happened, what they went through, and why they're reinventing themselves, such as Lexus King. Come on, man. Bro,
no,
like,
he's done great.
That's Brian Pillman Jr., bro. And they've like just totally swerved like left of that and gone with this whole Lexus King thing and giving you information on why and what's important about it to him and how he's not trying to be Brian Pillman Jr., but eventually he's morphing into this newer version of Brian Pillman, but not Brian Pillman, the loose cannon, but those aspects of it are in that character. So it's great for people who are legacy watchers, such as ourselves. And bruh, honestly, not to stray too far off topic from it, I think what we're getting, especially with Ethan Page, man, is a great example of what's cooking down there in NXT. You know,
and
so
before we get too far away from NXT as well, let's bring up the partnership news that came out this week.
Hot sauce on the line. Spill it, man.
Multi-year deal now done on Thursday between the WWE and TNA, a partnership that will create opportunities for crossovers, as they are calling it, between TNA superstars and NXT superstars. So essentially what this will be, in my opinion, is going to be a second pair of shows that are going to rival each other, much like Raw and SmackDown or your AEW's Collision and Dynamite. This will now essentially create two massive rosters in the WWE. One being the main roster that you know about all over the Raw and SmackDown. And then now we will have NXT and TNA as one as well. Because you will see multiple crossovers for the next couple years, including invasions, much like we got a long time ago when it came to the NXT invades New York and all of those. We're finally going to get new ones of those. And this also opens up the possibility of an ECW or a WCW style invasion of NXT by TNA superstars like Joe Hendry. You're going to get a lot of Moose, most likely. I believe the famous Nick Naismith or Dolph Ziggler, whichever you will like to refer to him as, will most likely make appearances as well. And it's going to create opportunities to see crazy matchups like Oba Femi against Moose that we never considered.
Wow.
You just saying, dude. And obviously, it's already been cooking in the past. We got the Wesley versus the Rascals a couple weeks ago, which was absolutely incredible to see that entire storyline close the way it did. And then you get Jordan Grace coming in against Roxanne Perez and really being one of the best matches in NXT on the year. And we'll get in. Roxy's entire movement to the main roster, I think, is imminent, along with Trick Williams. I think both of them make their. I know Roxy was in the Royal Rumble last year, but I think she was more there as a filler. I think this year it's going to be definitely her solidifying herself as a mainstay in the main roster itself. But this entire partnership between TNA and WWE is going to create a lot of opportunities and a lot of different perspectives in different storylines an entire exposure that they're going to create for each other. You're already seeing a little bit dangling between Cora Jade and the current knockout champion this past Tuesday. So I'm assuming something on Saturday during Genesis, their TNA's next PLE is going to pop off. I'm sure Cora Jade will most likely make an appearance herself. But KG, what do you see happening with all of this?
In the foreseeable future, my friend, I'll tell you this, okay? Miklov, Russian prophet, will tell you that vodka and onion is good for clarity and sinus. But in the future of wrestling, I will have to say that these crossovers that we're getting are a wrestling fan's wet dream come true.
Now, okay.
Honestly.
I'm sorry not to cut you off, but before we get into that, because I did think you were going to have that perspective, but I want to play devil's advocate here a little bit. Now, we all know that Triple H and Shawn Michaels has wanted NXT to be more of a main roster-esque show for a long time, and this actually allows for that because you're going against a main roster style group in TNA. However, this also mirrors the deals that AEW has with New Japan and with Ring of Honor. So does this cause the same issue that we have talked about in that AEW video that you can go back and reference?
Damn.
Is this going to make it too much? Are we going to have too many champions? Are we going to have
no.
too many storylines?
I'm going to say no. You want to know why? Because AEW has no experience guiding that storyline manufacturing. It's Tony Khan. It's the Young Bucks. It's his yes men that are like, oh, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, it sounds cool. When you've got ring veterans and you've got experienced minds that have been through the ups and downs of the business over the last 30 years, maybe plus, advising on how to utilize and portion control these appearances, debuts, and crossovers. One thing we're not seeing, because Triple H is methodical on the slow burn, we're not seeing oversaturation of the same thing 24/7 like how we used to see with Vince. That was a product killer. You know, forgetting whose storyline is what, a call up just because, or just fuck it, we did it last week, we'll do it again. You know, let me go shit on somebody's head, whatever the hell. You know what I'm saying? We're actually gonna get, I think, a decent introduction of this announcement at the Royal Rumble. Maybe even, let's just say 3 weeks before the Royal Rumble, we start seeing these names in TNA show up on NXT, show up on SmackDown. With the Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler situation, I hope he gets a spot in the Royal Rumble as the TNA champion. And what music do they play? Do they play his current theme?
I think you have to hit the Ziggler theme,
because that Dolph Ziggler show off shit was hard as fuck.
I think you hit the Ziggler theme with Naismith or with Namath's current like video package.
That,
you know what I mean?
that right there,
WWE fans a pop.
That right there, man. Because honestly, the pop would be great without the show off music. But if you hit that, I'm here to show the world, that shit is gonna.
It could be one of the greatest. You know what? We'll get into this because I do have a little bit of the predictions here.
One thing I definitely want to see. We could potentially get an LA Knight Dolph Ziggler TNA championship match.
We could.
The possibilities are endless right now. This opens more opportunities for, let's just say, mid-card titles that aren't available. We could showcase a WWE person getting a TNA championship brought over to the WWE and vice versa. This is, like I say, an opportunity for some good watching of the wrestling now.
And I think it also gives the NXT superstars a little bit of an edge because it allows them to go for titles that they haven't been able to see yet, including what I believe an issue is with the women's side is they don't have tag team titles down there anymore, really, because you're not going to rip those off of Bianca and Naomi anytime soon.
And
so this also opens up
those things could float around.
Exactly.
They could float around, man. And another thing, this gives TNA a great rub of legitimacy and professionalism.
Yeah,
This
and
puts
it only grows them.
this puts TNA on par or a smidge above AEW, which they've been around for way longer and giving us great fucking matches, bro. They've got a fucking library of great talent.
Let's not forget, John Cena almost left to go to TNA, or at least threatened to.
Man. Let's not forget we had AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Main Event Mafia, Booker T, Kevin Nash, Papa Pump, Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Jay Lethal, bro. Come on, man.
Happy to see Samoa Joe back in AEW too, which also means Twisted Metal Season 2 is done filming and we are ready to go. I'm ready. That's one of the great best shows. But before we get to our Royal Rumble predictions of the night, let's get into what SmackDown is going on tonight. First and foremost, we got a tag team #1 contenders match between the Machine Guns and Los Garza. Los Garza finally getting the push to potentially get some gold around their waist. What do you think? Who's winning?
Even in defeat, Los Garza, this is a win for them, but they're going to take the L. They're taking the pin. We're not going to job out the Motor City Machine Guns just yet.
No.
It seems like the new smell is
too hot right now.
The new smell hasn't worn off of them yet all the way for me to lose faith in their booking right now. But it's going to be a great match because you've got 4 guys who are all like go, 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 workhorses. So depending on how they draw this up, either way, we're gonna see. I'm taking Los Garza for the L, most definitely.
They're gonna eat go with you. I think Machine Guns most likely win,
but it's gonna be great fucking TV, and I'm down for that.
Honestly, I think it's gonna be pretty deadly who ends up ripping those titles off of DIY eventually. I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon, but I do think the Machine Guns get one more shot at it in the next PLE. The next big match you're gonna see tonight: Tiffany Stratton with her first championship defense against Bayley. I don't see the belt coming off of Tiffy tonight. I think Bayley ends up losing by some sort of either DQ or interference call. However,
100% agreed.
I don't think this is the feud that is going to be brewing for the future. I think Bayley's actually going to end up going to NXT for a little bit, i.e. like Becky Lynch did. And do for Roxanne Perez what Becky Lynch did for Tiffy and give her one last hurrah, as they usually like to do with a lot of these women or a lot of these wrestlers in NXT. You usually get one rub against somebody pretty prominent in the main roster, and then they say, okay, you can do this. And I think Bayley, after what we saw on Tuesday, is going to end up being that person for Roxanne Perez. However,
Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria, Dolph Ziggler, Braun Breaker.
Exactly.
Example after example.
And I think that's going to be what we see going forward. I think Trick is right around the corner from getting that as well. And I honestly think they're going to send Mello to go do it. I think they're going to get one last close of the door of that little rivalry before they finally call Trick up to the main roster. But that's a different story. How do you see this one ending?
Okay, so for Bayley and Roxanne Perez, I'm definitely going with Roxanne, going over that aspect of how you say the send-off match, right? But as far as I say where we're at with the women's division currently on SmackDown, I want to jump to something else. They've been dropping Charlotte Flair return promos, but she's been calling herself Ashley. Okay.
Ooh, so are we getting Ashley Flair?
Bro,
what?
I don't know. I don't know what's I don't know what's cooking with that.
I know Rick
DMs.
Rick always calls her Ashley. Always, bro, even in interviews.
So the way she's had very lackluster promos before in the back, in the past. But this obviously she's been recovering from a very extensive injury and major knee surgery. To see Charlotte Flair with a brace is kind of like, damn, that shit really fucked you up. It humanizes her, but whomever wrote it, maybe she wrote it, whatever, however it was delivered, it was great to show the reality aspect of I'm not just the 16-time women's world champion. I'm the daughter of Ric Flair. She ends the promo just basically get to like, Ashley, get the fuck out of your head. And it's like, whoa, they let you drop that? So I'm interested to see how this return of Charlotte Flair could shake things up in every division because real talk, I really feel like with Becky Lynch's return, we have Lyra Valkyria that just got that inaugural
Intercontinental title.
championship.
Ooh.
And as you recall, Becky dropped
Becky Hogan.
Yeah, Becky
Is Becky
dropped.
Hogan coming back?
Becky dropped that women's NXT title
to
to
Lyra.
Lyra. Okay, so remember, everything counts. All continuity matters
No,
now.
absolutely.
So I think
Absolutely.
we'll revisit that. But tonight on SmackDown, I do not have Bayley taking any W.
No.
Sorry.
It's just not going to happen. I don't think. I think it's going to be a fun little one-off to show everybody that Tiffy is a championship level wrestler, which
interference
is,
by Nia Jax. I agree with you 100%.
Most likely, or maybe Candice LeRae or somebody. Maybe you get that feud going a little bit because Candice deserves a little bit of time in the sun too. Let's be honest; she's been in the back a little bit too much. However, since we're already talking about Charlotte Flair's return, we might as well go to our Rumble predictions or Royal Rumble predictions here because you are a couple steps ahead of me, my friend. What I was thinking for today, we just give our give our biggest surprise and our biggest, or whoever we think is going to win for both sides.
Okay.
And personally, I have Charlotte Flair winning the Royal Rumble this year. I think Charlotte Flair's return is going to be the Royal Rumble. And it's going to set up what we essentially got with CM Punk last year. Who could she potentially choose as her opponent? Does she get a rematch against Rhea at WrestleMania and we get a run back of that? Or does she take on the new blonde who's trying to have her time in the sun? And either one of those, you get something great, because the other one that I have to bring up here, my big surprise return, I think it's going to be the Royal Rumble, because we know Charlotte's coming. They're dropping the hints. We know Becky's coming back. They're dropping the hints of that as well. We possibly are going to get a Jade Cargill return. I can see that happening as well. But I think the big surprise for the women's side of the Royal Rumble this year will be the return of Alexa Bliss.
Ooh.
I think Alexa has been silently going through her recovery process of maternity leave. She has been hinting at it for a long time that she wants to return. And I think we finally get, my friend, the Wyatt Six, their final member of Alexa Bliss as the female version of The Fiend. I would love to see that. A little bit of fantasy booking from myself, but if I was about to say,
you reaching but you preaching, and I like
that's the only piece of Bray Wyatt that they haven't brought back yet. Is the Fiend. Every piece of these guys has something to do with Bray's internal monologue and what he was when he was the leader of this. Why not make her the Fiend? You already gave Sister Abigail to Nikki Cross.
Okay, wait. I gotta stop you, man, because you're going down the rabbit hole a little too deep, man. I gotta pull you back because this is where I think we would get an Alexa Bliss return, and then we stop there. But just because I like the sauce that you sprinkling on this meal that you're cooking right now, I could see that happening. But I think all that shit that you just said would happen before we got my guess on a return would be AJ Lee. So I think your shit would happen before my shit would happen. So I like it. I like it, man. That's
AJ is a possibility, though. And I think you're going to get a lot of TNA wrestlers this year. Yeah. I think that's going to happen as much.
You're going to see Mickey J. I think we're going to get an actual Mickey J Hall of Fame type of thing.
You know what? I could see a Mickey J return.
That's Nick Aldis's wife,
Absolutely.
And she's, she's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh,
there's no doubt of that. So we could definitely see her making a appearance.
I grew up with the biggest crush on Mickey James. I won't even lie on that one. That was my go-to for a long time.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, man.
You said who your big surprise is. Who do you have winning on the women's side?
I think I'll go with Charlotte Flair or a newcomer. We might get something totally new. We might get a Jordan Grace. That's my fantasy booking. We might get a Jordan Grace, Jade Cargill showdown towards the end. And I'll say this: the last four of the women's Royal Rumble should be Charlotte Flair, Jordan Grace, a returning Alexa Bliss, and Well, I was gonna say random, but yeah, Jade Cargill. Hopefully that'll be something that puts her over with everybody else and convinces them to
We
get off
have
her
to
back as a
figure
wrestler.
out,
We got it,
though,
yeah.
if you bring back Jade Cargill, there has to be a connection to who took her out.
Bianca and
Has been the
Naomi.
main question that they've, and I know you're going to play the whole Bianca stopped looking for it, and
Yeah.
Bianca doesn't care about me anymore. She just moved on, which is going to be a great storyline as it is. But we need to know who took her out, and that's also why I feel like Jade could potentially win as well. Because who's to say Tiffy didn't take her out? Who's to say Tiffy didn't do it?
That's too green of a match for me. I don't want to see that. I don't
I'm
want.
just saying
There's
it could
there's no
happen though. The
ring
two
general,
styles,
but
I don't know.
it's not enough experience between the both of them for me to convince myself that that's going to be a good match to watch. Other than like, oh, it sounds good on paper, but there's no like who's producing that. I gotta know. I
Who's
gotta
to
have
say though that
who's
Jade
producing
hasn't
that
been
match.
working this whole time? Who's to say Jade hasn't been sharpening her
Well, she's
skills?
been in the performance center. That's no doubt.
Exactly.
She's this whole time.
So
So dispel the injury rumors. We know she's been cooking.
yes,
Whenever
at
they've been,
least.
and Triple H is being very, very careful with how she's presented. It's gonna be something that pays off to what everybody has questions for. No doubt
I
about it.
I have to agree. Now moving over to the men's side of it all. Now my big surprise return this year was actually going to be Nick Nemeth and the Dolph Ziggler pop. So we were way, way ahead of me on that one. But a second one that I like to throw out there, just because I've seen it mulling around for the last couple of years. I know he has wanted it and said it in multiple interviews. I'd love to see Matt Cardona come back to the WWE as Matt Cardona. Do not bring it back as Zack Ryder. I would love to see Matt Cardona as the indie god himself return and get a face-to-face with maybe Cody or some of his old rivals, maybe John. I'd love to see the interaction between him and John Cena again. And that's another one that we have to throw in there is how long is John going to be a part of this? Because I'm going to doubt that John is going to win the Royal Rumble. And I'm going to say why in a second. But you see this entire, I mean, we knew Seth and Punk and Drew were all going to be in the match. The declaration on Monday didn't necessarily need to happen. I'm sure Solo's entire thing today is going to be he's going to go in as well. You know, Roman's going to be in it. So it's going to be a stacked card regardless. This is going to be one of the biggest stacked cards that we've seen in the Royal Rumble on the men's side in quite some time. So whoever gets thrown in there has to be somebody who actually fits with all of this going down and who can mend and flow within all of these storylines. And I think guys like Nick Nemeth and Matt Cardona could really do that well stylistically and really represent TNA well on the other side. I know Matt's not necessarily connected to TNA in any way, but he himself as a outside face that has been in there before could really flow well with a lot of these ongoing storylines and make John look good at the same time, because you're going to need Cena to at least knock out a handful of these people to at least solidify himself. And honestly, I'd love to see John knock out Solo, because let's not forget the last match that John had was Solo Sikoa.
Well, we got to remember this, though. Once Drew McIntyre's done with what he's done with and who he's done with in the bloodline, before he gets to Roman, he still has business to take care of with Solo.
Yes, he does.
Since Solo has been on this, you know, I don't know if he's making an appearance tonight. I hear rumors that my cousin Jacob Fatu is in the building as well. You know what I'm saying? Oos and shit. When it goes down, it goes down. I don't know how y'all feeling. Well, I'm feeling mighty wolfish tonight, man. And we might see that some more werewolf.
The entire bloodline in the Royal Rumble too. I understand, or maybe not Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, but Jacob definitely is going to be.
I think Jacob might be our breakout superstar in the Royal Rumble this year. You know, when this motherfucker hop up and get to tweaking and hitting that shit, I'm like, oh God, somebody gonna get hurt. Shit.
I see Jacob being the one knocking out a shit ton of people, maybe up to Brock Lesnar's record.
I think so.
I think it's going to be one of those situations where the entire field is going to have to team up and knock Jacob out in order for this entire thing.
And you've also got people that outside of the special guest appearances in the Rumble that are going to have high quality matches and feuds that we're not seeing the foundation of, but they're already set in motion. We've got Elimination Chamber coming up as well
Yes,
before all
absolutely.
these. So there's a lot of opportunities for like a John Cena or any of the storylines to go where they need to go in case we need to pivot on something or whatnot.
And you know what? And that's why I don't believe John's going to win the Royal Rumble, because we know John wants to be in every PLE he can before the end of his career, which means Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And I think that John Cena in Elimination Chamber would be an incredible match for whatever championship he would want to go for.
Just a quick prediction. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think the Logan Paul John Cena match scheduled for WrestleMania
would love that.
It would get moved to maybe a later or earlier PLE date if these Elimination Chamber and all these other things don't work out. The Bad Bunny Logan Paul match was rumored to have happened, but I don't think that's going to happen. John's final hoorah for a title opportunity, I don't see happening at any of the big ones right now. Maybe a SummerSlam, maybe something down the road, but we're not going to see it happen at Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania. How he's going out, I'm pretty sure he has creative control over this.
I think it's going to be Breakker. I think Breakker's been asking for it, and I think that Intercontinental match would be incredible, especially to see John win. And
I was gonna say, but what about Sheamus here, man? Are we getting that? Are we getting Sheamus beating Breakker at Mania?
No, I don't like. Well, Sheamus has his shot against Breakker again at Saturday night's main event here in San Antonio in a couple weeks. So I think that's where that one ends. I doubt that Sheamus actually takes it off of him. He's just too talented, and I think Breakker is just too much of a big star at the moment. It's kind of like Gunther, you know what I mean? You want to build people up to actually seem like a threat. And Sheamus is a threat to a point, but realistically, he's not big enough to actually take Breakker out. I can't see that being a thing. But my prediction for the winner of the Royal Rumble real quick, I think it's time for the Yeet Man to actually win something big. And I think it's Jey Uso's time. I think Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble, especially after starting last year's Royal Rumble as number one and lasting as long as he did.
Hello, 911. Something's wrong with my friend.
No.
Something's wrong with my friend.
911.
He's mentally ill right now. He's going crazy. He's foaming at the mouth with his bullshit. Hold on 1 second. I think he's coming back to the
Jey Uso.
Okay, I didn't
has a match. Hold on, hear me out on this.
Okay,
Jey Uso has a match against Gunther at Saturday night's main event for the title. He's not going to win, unfortunately, but it's going to be it's going to cook as it always has.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine this: Jey wins the Royal Rumble, and we set up Jey versus Gunther 3 at Mania. You know that it's going to cook, dude. And at this point right now, who else on Raw is good enough to not only control the crowd like Gunther does, but is enough of an actual threat to Gunther as a whole to potentially take that belt off of him? Because it's not going to be Braun Breaker, because he's going to be handling whatever he needs to with his belt. I don't think there's anybody else, unless you do Sami Zayn again, but I don't see that happening. I think that we get a situation much like Sami Zayn and Chad Gable had, where Sammy comes in and says, Oos, I'm going to help you. I've beaten this guy before. I know what it takes to beat this guy. Let's do it. Let's take that belt off of him. And eventually we get Jey Uso finally getting his time in the main light of all of this, much like we've been waiting with LA Knight. I think it's finally time, dude. I think we already gave him
want to take this away from you. I don't want to take this away from you. I'm gonna let you hold on to that one.
I'm
nice.
fantasy.
You got a good heart, man. You are a good.
I am fantasy booking today. Yes, who you got winning? Who's your choice?
All right, man. Look, motherfucker, I see winning this year's Royal Rumble is somebody we don't expect. Like straight up, I'll just go right there with you.
Who do you think it's gonna be? Rock?
Fuck no. I think honestly, we're gonna get CM Punk winning the Rumble.
You know what? I could see that, but my only argument...
If not CM Punk, we're going to get Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I can see McIntyre winning.
That's it. It's going to come down
I can see McIntyre winning it.
Drew McIntyre, bro. John Cena in that final 4 spot, and Seth fucking Rollins, bro. Cody eliminated. Like, he's not... Well, Cody's not in the Rumble anyway, but anybody, like, bro, anybody else?
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, Drew and Cody would cook. Drew and Cody would be great.
Drew is going to win this year's Royal Rumble. Now, not just on top of that, I think, oh God, I hate to say this, man, because you did such a great job of fantasy booking Jey Uso. I see us getting that Gunther John Cena match for a world title opportunity somewhere down the line. I don't know how they want to move that around, but also I think it's time for Jay to chase another title. It might not be the world title. And with this transfer portal, we could see him being interjected into the Shinsuke Nakamura LA Knight situation, because there are some things going on with LA Knight and I forget whomever. They not have an alliance, but more so are on the same heel page when it comes to fucking people up. And Shinsuke's doing his thing when this international tour is done and they're done with him in the US title. It's either going right back to LA Knight and we need to immediately have a new contender, which obviously can't be Andrade, Apollo, or Carmelo. They've jobbed them out. Carmelo's on to another storyline. So I don't see why it wouldn't, it helped keep the prestige of the belt going if we just slap that on Jey Uso and let him do his thing with it for a while until we get somebody to take it off of him like a Jacob Fatu.
I mean, that's also possible. We can see that.
Little sprinkle of fantasy booking on myself, you know what I'm saying? Since you were so gracious with it, I was like, fuck it, I'll take a little something right here.
My only argument against CM Punk winning, I think Punk ends up in the Elimination Chamber because I think
I can't see Punk winning the Elimination Chamber.
I think a Punk, Seth Rollins, John Cena Elimination Chamber, amongst others, obviously 3 other contestants, which will probably end up being guys like Jacob Fatu and possibly Logan Paul again and stuff like that. I think that would be a better storyline driver. Would be potentially Punk having to fight for that last spot against Seth Rollins, who gets the final, main event match of WrestleMania, as it were. But I think that we have some pretty solid predictions here going forward. So if you guys are looking forward to the Royal Rumble, let us know in the comment section below. Also, we'll be watching and doing a live stream of this week's Raw on Monday. Check out for it on our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Live, and other social media platforms. If TikTok is still alive at the time, I'm not 100% sure if it's still going to be live after Sunday. We will see. And just for you guys, actually, I have to give away our What the Heel Award winner this week, too. I almost forgot about that. But we will be also giving away our Ahmed tickets if you're in the Bakersfield, California area. Our friends over at The Well have given us a pair of tickets to give away to their next comedy show over there on at the end of January. So if you're watching the live stream with us, we'll be giving out those tickets to one lucky listener or one lucky viewer with us that night. So you'll look out for that. But this week's What the Heel Award winner, before we forget, we've already mentioned his name multiple times. He is cooking down in NXT, and this is now, I believe, 2 times in a row an NXT superstar has taken this award, but it's Ethan Page. Ethan Page is absolutely killing it as a heel down there in NXT and actually tearing people apart at the moment. First, it was Javon Evans' jaw, then Cedric Alexander's hand, and now Dante Chen's leg, in what seems to be building in an incredible feud between Javon Evans and Ethan Page, as Ethan just continues to tear through every superstar that even tries to go against him down there at NXT. So we will see how that continues. Hopefully we will get a Javon Evans match against Ethan Page in the near future. Maybe at Vengeance Day, I believe, is their next PLE in February. So we will see how that goes. But Kimball, my friend, you got any final words before we sign off here?
Congratulations to All Ego Ethan Page doing his thing in the What the Heel Award of the Week. That's all I got to say. The man's cooking. I agree with you 100%. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure if you've got Rumble predictions or any of that good stuff, drop them in the comments. Like, subscribe, stay notified, and stay fly in 2025, y'all. We will see you on the next episode, as Dr. Dre and Snoop would say.
Peace out.